what is going on, you guys? Wherever you may be listening or watching, we are currently in the building era of this. What is it called? Podcast. There's going to be no cuts or anything besides the beginning and the end
So
of
all
us
raw
like
content.
pressing the buttons. But um, yeah, we've been wanting to start a podcast for a little while now, and we're still working out the kinks of it. We actually swapped from the camera I used to use for my YouTube channel to the iPhone, so hopefully the
So just
audio
bear with us.
hopefully the audio is good enough for all that. So if you have any questions about it, or if you have any like tips and tricks for us, definitely comment that. I'm assuming we're gonna make an Instagram page sometime soon. So definitely text us or comment or whatever. Um, but we did come up with a name. So do you want to announce the name of the podcast, Lizzie?
Hold on.
Well, she doesn't even know it.
No, okay, so we came up with like 6 names and it dwindled down to two. And I'm trying to think.
Oh gosh.
Okay, I do know. Okay, drum roll. Drum roll,
Oh, well, I
please.
mean, when they watch this, it's already
Yeah,
gonna say it up there.
yeah. So our podcast name is A Year in the Making.
Okay. No, it's not. It's years in the making.
Years in the Making.
A year in the making, girl.
No,
We've almost been together 8 years. It's,
so
it's definitely not a
the
year.
podcast name is Years in the Making. Do you want to like explain why that's the name of it?
Well,
Background info.
I mean, it's not really much. I think I want to say it was my idea,
Mm-hmm.
but like at the same time when I said it, I think it both clicked for us that it was like this is actually like a pretty decent name. I didn't look it up. Hopefully nobody else already took
Yeah.
it, but just with our story, which we'll get into later.
I mean, it fits us perfectly.
Yeah, because not only have we been years in the making of us, but God has had this planned out for so long, and it finally came into fruition in 2016. And now we're here, and just trying to spread some positivity out in the world. There's a lot going on, but honestly, we haven't even introduced ourselves. So I'll go first. If you don't know who I am Noah Robinson. I am 21 years old. Turning 22 on June the 30th. Don't know when this is coming out, but it probably is either right before or right after. Um, and yeah, I'm Noah, and then this is
I'm Lizzie Robinson. I'm 20 years old, and I will be 21 at the end of October. And we have our kitten Honey that you might be hearing throughout our podcast.
she
She just
is
heard her name. Look,
she is a I wouldn't even call her a special guest because she is a member of the
she's a
fam.
member.
So she is not an honorary or a special guest. She will be on
Yeah,
every
she'll be
episode, whether you hear
somewhere,
her or not. She'll be somewhere.
audibly, visually,
And our hopes and dreams are that she comes up here and sits with us,
and
and takes a
sleeps
nap
during our podcast.
while our podcast is going on.
Yeah, but she's 9 months old, so she's very playful, very crazy. So if you hear her meowing, she's probably attacking a hairbow.
So we're really new to this, so like don't expect us like any perfection or anything. Like I used to do a lot on YouTube with a camera and a lighting setup, but this is a whole different beast. I've been reaching out to my friend Noah Hooper, and he's probably gonna be the biggest help for me to get this posted on things like Apple Music and Spotify.
And YouTube. Well, I mean,
And
you were used to YouTube.
I'll probably do the YouTube stuff since I've done that before, and that'll be pretty simple. But podcasting wise, like I don't really know much about anything, so that's why I have my good friend Noah Hooper, who's definitely been a help to me. And I'm sure he'll, I've asked him if I can use his help, and he's been down for it. So I appreciate Noah if you're watching this. Whenever this comes out, I appreciate you as always.
But these are Noah's roots, so y'all may not know, but he was big into YouTube back in the day.
What they call a YouTube sensation. I started my YouTube channel I think in 2015, 2014, and there's our cat. Stopped filming probably 2022, I want to say. And I did content such as ping pong trick shots, water bottle flip trick shots, marker flip trick shots, and then transitioned my channel into shoes. And from 2022 is when I stopped filming, just because I had a lot going on with college and about to get propose and to get married and things like that. So just didn't have a lot of time, and it wasn't really increasing. It was not really going
It
anywhere.
was just kind of at a
It
standstill.
was just kind of there.
Yeah.
But I think now I have like 6,000 subscribers, 6,100, something like that. But the account's inactive, and I most likely won't ever like post on there again.
What was your most viewed video
Well, it
on your
was
channel? I can't remember.
so when it was trick shots, it was my cap on cap video, which has over, I want to say, 60,000 views. But now it became one of my shoe videos, which is
Really?
the Nike Panda Dunk. I did the men's versus the women's pair, and that has surpassed 100,000 views.
I did not know that.
Yeah, but
Wow.
the thing that sucks is I used to get paid from YouTube, but
Mhm.
they like changed their like requirements. So now that you have to have 4,000 watch hours per year, and I'm at like 3,800. So that is kind of the qualities to get paid. And the cat's about to jump on the screen. Do not, honey. Special guest. Let's see. Honey, get down. Okay.
We're
Well,
good.
anyways, she's very intrigued. She's never seen this setup before.
Yeah, this is never. It's like a ring light too, so she's like confused what's happening.
But we are. Oh, I chipped my toe. We're very new to this, and you probably can tell like this is like awkward for us because we haven't filmed together
We haven't filmed together
in a very long time.
I mean, probably since your trick shots.
Well, you did some shoes videos.
I did a few shoes.
I think we also made a
videos.
YouTube channel too.
Those were back in the.
I think it was
Good
during
old
our
days.
ACC days, actually.
Yeah.
Back in 2020,
Yeah, so
2022.
we'll get in this later.
Yeah, we have a lot of stories to tell. That's why we wanted to start a
Yeah,
podcast, because
I mean, our dating story and
honey's going stupid right now. That's fine.
yeah, our story is kind of very unique and different. So we started real quick before we get into our story. We started our like a YouTube channel for us because we had a so on my TikTok page we had a video like blow up, and I haven't checked recently, but the last time I looked it was at like 4 million.
It was
like
12 million views.
it was like the last time I checked it was
12 million views.
12 million
like
views and like 3 or 4 million likes. So it was kind of our story, not our story, it was like us over the years.
Yeah.
And like it blew up.
Yeah.
So we kind of because of that
we thought maybe something would come out of a YouTube channel, but we weren't like very consistent with it. And not Snapchat, but what TikTok does is they give you one viral video to get you like hooked
I
on
guess
it.
kind of invested. Yeah,
that's what they do to like a lot of people. They give you one really viral video, and then like they get you hooked on the app, so you keep using it, so that makes them more money.
I mean, it's genius.
But like I think you were like under the age of 18, so you couldn't even get like your monetization from that.
So I mean, I was looking. Yeah, I was looking into making money, but like I said, there were just like guidelines that I just like did not fit into at that point in time because of my age and all the requirements. So anyways, backstory, but
yeah, we started this because we have a lot of stories to tell, a lot of advice to give you guys, things to do, things not to do, and just a lot of like our life has been going like a million miles a minute, and like certain things, a lot of new things have happened with us that maybe a lot of people may not know about unless they're really close to us. So,
and also disclaimer, I mean, no one's giving advice. We are giving advice, but we also don't know everything.
No.
So I guess it's just like stuff like it's more like advice that of stuff that's gone good or stuff that's gone bad or stuff that we're like continuously learning. So and trying to figure out.
Yeah, but we definitely have a ton of stories to tell, and there's a lot that has gone on, and we're about to celebrate 8 years of just being together. So you can only imagine what stories we have to tell, what has happened, good and bad for us for the past 8 years. And just like, like Lizzie said, like a disclaimer, like we're very new to this, like I've said. So, if the mic doesn't sound good, like just tell us, like let us know because we're learning, and we're by no means like good at this because this is the first episode. So,
Yeah.
But without further ado, our first episode is obviously kind of introducing ourselves. Like I said, I'm Noah, 21. I go to the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. I'm a business administration major, and I graduate in December. And then I work at the Vans outlet store in Mebane, North Carolina. And then Lizzie, you can tell her backstory a little bit.
I'm Lizzie. I'm 20 years old. I'll be 21 October, the end of October. I go to the University of North Carolina, Greensboro as well. Me and Noah will both graduate this upcoming December.
Yep.
I'm a communication studies major, and I'm actually interning at a Chick-fil-A in the Raleigh area. I'm an HR intern at a Chick-fil-A up there. So I'm trying to figure out what I want to do since graduation is so near.
Same.
So I'm trying to see if like I want to go into like human resources. So that's why I thought like a short-term internship would be good for me. So
yeah, well, obviously you'll learn more about us throughout the multiple episodes we make. But there are people that haven't talked to me or haven't talked to Lizzie since like high school, and I think we've definitely changed a little bit. I think we've taken parts of our life a lot more seriously than we used to, and we've definitely matured in like multiple ways. And especially getting married at a young age. Sorry, the cat's over there.
she loves the ring light.
She does love it.
She's so confused at what's happening.
But we've, like I said, we've been through a lot, so I think we've definitely changed a little bit from who we used to be, and definitely got some of our sin figured out for sure. Marriage will teach you a lot of things, but without further ado, I think we should go ahead and start our story, which is probably going to be the title of this video. It's going to be not only introductory, but also kind of a backstory of definitely have honey hairs on me.
Yeah.
A backstory of how we met and kind of who we are. So I guess we'll kind of go back and forth with this.
I can start since like it was my like from the schooling situation.
Well, we have two different stories to tell because your story and my story is a little bit different.
Yeah. So I mean, okay, so my story is I was coming from more of like a public school setting. I finished my 6th grade year in public school, and my parents were pulling me out of public school and putting me into private school. So I was not happy about this. I was leaving all of my friends, and everything that I knew. And then you can continue with it. So Noah's family was like, you could talk about the whole situation with the church.
So my family used to go to another church, which was actually where my grandpa pastored for a long time, and he passed away in 2013. So it was I want to say it was around 2015, towards the end of that year, we started searching for a new church, and I would say we probably visited 6 to 7 churches, but it wasn't until May of 2016, the first day of May, where we joined the church that we go to now. And that was actually the church that Lizzie and her family went to as well.
And me and my family, we've been at that church since like I exited the womb.
Right, literally.
So 2016, Noah's family was visiting our church. His family joined, and at that point, I was going through the transition of leaving public school, like that same exact time this was happening. Leaving public school and going to private school. So, they joined our church. Of course, I'm there because that's where I grew up. And then you can take it from there.
Yeah. So we joined the church in May. Excuse me. So we joined the church in May, and I want to say like me and Lizzie like we knew who we knew of each other, but we never like we had gone to like summer camp at our church like every single summer,
Yeah,
but like
so our church, well, my church at the time before Noah and that his family joined, we hosted us like a summer camp or
right.
a day camp for a week, and a bunch of like kind of like similar believing churches would like come. And the church that
And
he was
like our church always came.
Noah's previous
Right, our old
church
church, yeah.
came to like my church's day camp, which is the church that he was visiting. So I just
Yeah.
want to clarify that.
Yeah, so we always visited you know, the church we go to now. When I was at my old church, we had a group come to the day camp. And Lizzie and I, it's funny, like we were there together, but like I only knew of Lizzie's brother Andrew because you know we went to ACS together, but Lizzie kind of was on her own path since she was in public school, and I really didn't know. I don't think like everything like went together. Like I ever understood everything until like I think one time at church, like like I asked Lizzie's brother who that girl. Like I was pointing to Lizzie, I was like, "Who is that?" And he was like, "Oh, that's my sister Lizzie." And I was like, "Okay." I don't think I really like knew who you were. Like we went to the same camp together and stuff like that, and like I never like noticed you. I may have like seen you, but like I never put two and two together. Like,
Until you start coming to our
this
church.
is Andrew's sister Lizzie.
Yeah.
But there was also an instance where we may have met when we were very, very young.
Yeah, so
at like a wedding.
Yeah, so one of my mom's friends, I was in her wedding as a flower girl, and come to find out, that's your cousin.
Cousin, yeah.
That's your cousin. So we're thinking that we met.
I don't know if we met.
I don't know,
that was might have been the first time we were ever in the same location.
Yeah.
At the exact same time.
Yeah, and I mean at that age, I was probably.
You were the flower girl, right?
I was a flower girl,
yeah.
And I was probably like 5, maybe around that age.
So I was probably 6 or 7, because we are a year and 4 months.
Yeah, so you're 4 months apart, and then like 2 grades apart.
Yeah. So, like, I asked Andrew like who that was, and he said that's my sister Lizzie. So, like, I don't know, like, you know, in a Baptist church, you know, you see this girl. It's like there's not a lot to choose from at a Baptist church, because you know most youth programs at churches like that aren't very you know unique with the amount of people they have. But you know there's something stood out, you know, about Lizzie, and I always had like, I guess you would say, the hots for her. Sorry, that was cringe. Sorry Anna, if you're watching that was definitely cringe. But I guess I had like, I just looked, I don't know what really like, you know, made me look at Lizzie and maybe like Lizzie, but you know, it was always like she was just like consistently there. Like every time I was there, she was there. You know, I think one of the first times like we visited, I like caught googly eyes with her, like when she was in the choir singing. So that was a core memory for sure. And she also with her friends.
So we sat behind. Yeah, we sat behind Noah. And I remember like, oh, like there's a spiky haired guy. Because Noah, I mean, he used to.
Yeah, he used to have spiky hair.
He used to be like shorter with spiky hair. That's what he was known for. His spiky
shorter hair. Is Lizzie's way of putting it nicely. Our first picture together, Lizzie's a whole head taller than me.
Yeah.
And that's even with a spiky hair.
Mm-hmm.
And from like, I was at the point where I hadn't even hit a growth spurt yet, and Lizzie, you know, Lizzie's been the same height since we've been dating.
Yeah.
Like, then that's just how it is.
I mean, he was like too much.
I was like 5 foot.
The top of his head was too much.
Like I was pushing 5, like genuinely, like midget status. But that was, I remember making googly eyes. I remember, Lizzie doesn't remember this. I think the first time I talked with her was in the fellowship hall at our church, and I was just making small talk. That's all I remember. Remember making small talk with Lizzie, and eventually, after we joined, slowly, like I think we started talking like here and there. I think one of us either followed the other on Instagram eventually.
So yes. So that happened.
Do you know how we followed each other?
I don't.
Do you know if you or I did it first?
I don't remember. Okay. But I remember back in the day, there was this, oh my goodness, it was like I posted this picture. It was like very popular, like around 8 years ago. So it was just like, so pretty much like if you commented a number, it would correlate with like something. So Noah picked the number, like let's say it was two. It correlated to me DMing you a TBH.
Yep.
Or for example, another number could have correlated with like, okay, let me rate you, or this or that, whatever. So it was a TBH, and we have tried so many times
To find
to
those messages.
to go back into our DMs, and I think you've gotten there close, but like Instagram will I've tried it, but Instagram glitches and goes like, I don't know, it just like glitches and you can't. Anyways,
you can't go back as far. The closest I got was like probably the beginning of 2017 or like the end of 2016, and we got together in July of 2016.
Yeah.
So the closest I've gotten, it glitched me out, and I've tried every other thing, and I think eventually I was trying to like clear out my like gigabytes or whatever, and I think I deleted most of my Instagram DMs. So
anyways,
Lizzie, I think I slid up on Lizzie's like TBH thing.
Yeah, and I gave you a TBH.
But also one thing I remember is there was this like, I don't remember. I think it was something with your school, but there was this like collage page that would like rate pictures or something.
Oh my goodness, yes.
And I think you got first place.
It was,
and I don't know how I saw it, but I saw it.
It
and
was
then,
crazy.
Like, I DM'd it to you, and I was like, "Oh, congratulations!"
Yeah,
it was so random. Like
it was really,
it was like preteen, like 2016, so random.
Okay, and
that stuff would never happen.
No, may I remind you, we were like, I was 12.
I was 13.
Almost.
And my birthday is June 30th, so the day after my birthday was when when we started dating.
So stuff back in the day, like it was just so different than it is now. Like, so there was a bunch of like girls that submitted this like selfies, and it was more not really based on how you looked. I don't think it was more for like aesthetic.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, what like is the best filter that someone can like do, or the best angle? It was not really like, oh, she's prettier than this person. Right. It was more like, okay, which one is more aesthetically pleasing?
Right. And that was so
it was really random. But I won first place because I used a weird filter. Yeah. And apparently I don't know, whatever. But that's what I was talking about.
These photos and things, they're definitely archives. Like if we were to find these things, we'd have to pull them out from like old iPods or something. Because
I remember I was wearing that orange ivory shirt.
Yeah, that orange shirt. I remember that.
Yeah.
That's so funny. So, what really happened was,
sorry, there's so much.
It's so hard to like think about everything that happened.
Texas Roadhouse.
So okay, so let me get there. So I slide up on Lizzie's DM on my iPad because that's how drip I was. I had my iPad back in 2016, no phone. Hey, honey. So I slide up on the TBH, and then I think we got like conversating, and it honestly might have been on my birthday.
So just for y'all that don't know, Noah's birthday is a day before like our dating anniversary.
So it's June 30th and July 1st.
Yeah, so Noah's birthday is July 30th, and then
you mean June?
Sorry, June 30th, and
then don't even know my birthday.
And then our anniversary is July 1st.
So I want to say it was my birthday. Or the day after my birthday. We were at Texas Roadhouse. With my family. Me and my family were.
It was the day after.
Yes.
It was the day after because
yes.
Yeah, no, it was July 1st.
Yeah, okay. So we're at Texas Roadhouse, and so I ask, I've never dated anybody. Like I've liked people for sure. But I've never like dated anyone or like went out on a date. But like we didn't go on a date for like 2 years. Anyways, that's another story for another day. But we were at Texas Roadhouse, and I remember asking my mom like if it was okay, like if I had a girlfriend, and like I think my mom ended up saying like, yeah, that was fine. Because she probably didn't think it would be like anything serious because obviously I just turned 14.
Yeah, you were 14 and I was 12. So
So I remember getting home that night because I didn't have an iPhone or anything, so I didn't have any way to text Lizzie. So I got home, got my iPad, and I remember I was sitting on the couch, and I like went to my Instagram DM where we talked earlier, and I pretty much was like, I remember I was like shaking because I was so nervous because like I didn't know if she felt the same way about me. But I remember like texting her through that Instagram DM like I don't know if I started off with like the question or like I think I maybe may have I think I like conversated into it, but like I eventually like asked her if she liked me
over Instagram DM,
and she
y'all.
said yes, and then I asked her if she would be my girlfriend, and I was sitting on our couch at the old house and I was on my Instagram DM. I asked Lizzie if she would be my girlfriend, and I remember like sending that and like I saw like the red message and I was like shaking and then you can go from there.
Yeah, and I was upstairs at my parents' house, and I remember when he asked me that, I was so excited, and I seriously think I ran around the house.
Yes, you did.
Um,
There's no doubt about it.
there's no doubt about it. I definitely ran around the house. I was
Just
so
making sure
excited.
it's still filming because we're still new to this. Yep, we're good. 26 minutes in.
Okay, perfect. Um, yeah. So I ran around the house. I was so excited, and that's kind of like where our story began. Um,
But yeah, she ran around the house, and from there
rest
we
was
we
history.
started um, dating. Like we didn't really go on an actual
Honestly, it
date.
was
It
more.
was more like liking each
We
other,
say that that's our dating
like boyfriend
anniversary because it
girlfriend.
is.
That's when I
Right.
popped the question.
It
But
was
like
more
nothing really
very
happened.
casual.
Yeah, we like our definition of hanging out would be going to a ACS soccer
Go to an
game
ACS soccer game or
and
Noah's
like
grandma's
walking my
house.
grandma. Like that's not really
Yeah,
like we call it dating, but like I mean technically we were boyfriend
it
and
was
girlfriend,
very
but
casual.
we're the age we were and the way we were like grown up. Like we necessarily I don't know whose side it was on, but like we weren't really allowed to go on dates by ourselves until like we hit a certain age. So from 2016
Until, I
20
mean, it was until after I got my license.
so 2019 was our first date. So 2016 to 2019
It,
honestly
yeah,
not I wouldn't say any much of anything happened.
we
It was
had. I
just
mean, we
like us like hanging out at church and hanging out at
yeah.
church youth group events and just slowly getting to know each other. Like Lizzie would come hang out with me, with my family. I would go hang out with her and her
I mean,
family
a big thing
and
when
go to like events and stuff like that.
yeah, a big thing back then was after church hangouts. So like I mean, I would go over after morning church. I mean, we had morning and night church on Sundays. So I would go over to Noah's house, eat lunch at his grandma's, hang out for the afternoon, and there was that. And then the same
Go to
thing would
church that
happen
night.
the
Yep.
next yes, and then we would go to church at night. Um, and then he would come over, the following Sunday, it would be the same thing, but with my family. So that's what happened a lot because I mean, may I remind you, we were 12 and 14, very young, very mature. I mean, we couldn't drive, so we would take anything we could.
Yeah, I don't think like much honestly happened between 2016 and 2019. Besides, like I was saying, like school events, church events, hanging out with each other's families. Like there was really no like alone time. And looking back, like I'm grateful for that
Yeah, me
because
too.
definitely like when you're young, you have a lot of temptation, and that's something that like you know we definitely dealt with that a lot towards like. Okay, I'm gonna sneeze. Maybe not. Wait. Okay. Sneeze went away.
Sorry, y'all.
Um, but like, yeah, not much happened between 2016 and 2019. I would say, definitely were just like places like we faced temptation, but like, we kind of knew what to do and what not to do. We definitely failed. Like we weren't perfect by any means. Nobody's perfect, but at the same time, like I think we had our like we were grounded the right way, and we knew kind of like what to do and what not to do, and for the most part, we followed that. Um,
I mean, our roots were there. Like we both grew up in church,
yeah,
so
so we
like
both
if we
knew.
were tempted and if we did something wrong, I mean, it wasn't like anything like crazy. I mean, of course, like we would be convicted of that.
Right.
So it's like, okay, never
Um,
mind. Let's not do that again.
right. Exactly. So 2019 was our first date. That was at Mykonos Grill.
And we met each other, may I remind you, because we were not riding together this
Right.
time.
But still, at the same time, like we were like astonished. Like
It was awesome.
like we went on a date like
By
by ourselves.
And
like
we split a meal.
we probably split a kid's meal. Excuse me. So here's something about us when we were dating, like very, very frugal, like very. We tried to save money
And
like nobody's business.
yes, and we will go into this in another episode. But I'm
Like there was times
Yeah.
Lizzie left like starving. Like she wouldn't say anything, obviously, but like
Yeah.
there were times she would leave starving from wherever we were eating. Like she wouldn't complain, but like she would leave starving. I would somehow we would have a coupon or something, and we would get a kids meal. We would leave like only paying $8 for a meal, and probably didn't tip
yeah.
anything, or if we did, it was
no,
like
I will say,
a dollar or two.
No, we were good with tips.
Starting off, probably not as good as we
Yeah,
are
but
now.
like we were. I mean, yeah. But I remember the cheapest meal we got when we were dating was at Mellow
was
Mushroom.
Mellow Mushroom, yeah.
And what was it? It was $3 or $4 for us. Was it?
It was like $4 a piece. I think it was
Okay.
like. So I remember tater tots and
A sub.
a sub. We split a
Yeah.
sub and tater tots, and I think it was like $8. That
Yeah.
the total came out to $8.
Yeah, and but I mean, like I said, we'll go into this in another episode.
Yeah.
But
Like if we spent over $18, like that was a big no-no.
deal. Yeah, but like now,
But now, obviously it's so much different.
yeah. But I mean, like I said, I'm thankful for that because, I mean, because we were so frugal and we saved our money, we were able to get married at a younger age than
Yeah.
most.
And one thing that was like different about what we did with our dating was every single time we went on a date, we took a picture. So I have like you may have it too on your phone, like a whole like album of every single like picture we ever took of each other at a restaurant. And that's just a funny memory to look back on. And like if I ever was like, oh, did we ever go to this place? I can go back to my pictures and be like, yes, we did, or no, we didn't. But past 2019, I want to say 2020 or 2021 was the first time we rode. I want to say 2020. We rode together on a date.
And I thought like
we went to the Verdict. I remember that.
The Verdict
in
Graham.
So I think you drove to my house,
and we drove together.
And I drove my car with you to and I remember we were wearing masks, so it had to be during COVID.
Yes, it was during COVID.
This was the first time we ever rode together by ourselves, and this is probably one of the top 10 most monumental moments.
Honestly,
like we were like on the way to like the Verdict from my house. It was probably like 15 minutes. Like we didn't talk like the whole time. Like we're like, is this really happening? Yeah. Like it's like we just got married or something. Like we were so happy to be in the car together because like we had waited so long, been wanting to go on a date by ourselves for so long. That was a very memorable moment. But from 2020 to 2023, I graduated high school in 2020 through the COVID year. COVID definitely hit us with a lot of things. We'll probably go into that with another episode. But 2020, I graduated high school. Lizzie started ACC in 2020. Is that right?
Yeah, in August. Yeah, so
that's right.
Because I got a 2-year degree in high school.
Yeah, so she stopped going to ACS in 10th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And then we started ACC the exact same time, though, right?
Yeah, we finished. Yeah, started ACC at the end in August of 2020.
And then we graduated there May of 2022 together.
We graduated from there, and I
started UNCG.
Well, and I graduated high school.
Right.
Then too.
It's very confusing. We'll get into it another time. But UNCG, we both we've been together this whole time. And obviously we didn't want to be apart, so that's kind of why. But it's just funny, like we're about to graduate in December, and like no, unless we go back to get our masters, I don't really know about that, but like it's crazy. We went from the exact same schooling from Lizzie being in 7th grade and me being in 9th grade. We went through the same programs through ACC, the same thing through UNCG, and now we're about to be done. But from 2020 to like 2022, I would say is when we really started to get in our dates like one on one, and
More
started to really get to
serious.
know each
Yeah.
other. And going through a global pandemic with somebody, like there's definitely a lot of like, I would say not necessarily for us like trauma, but like a lot of other people had trauma through COVID. I don't think we had really much, but like COVID was our excuse, I guess, to hang out. And we had a strict rule that we could only hang out once every 2 weeks during COVID,
Yeah, it was
which
very
was
interesting.
it was hard.
It was very
But
hard.
looking back, I mean, like our parents made certain decisions, and I definitely respect that.
Yeah, but no one knew what COVID was.
Yeah,
So I think that had a lot to do with it too, because I remember one of the first spots during COVID that we went to was a Chick-fil-A in Mebane.
yeah.
And we literally sat in the yard of Chick-fil-A.
That's the only way we could have our
Yeah.
masks off. Like we
The
sat
mask
in the
off.
yard, like the
Because
grass yard.
I mean, no one knew what was happening.
Right.
There was pretty much nothing known then, because it was like, I mean, that was probably a month or two after it came about.
Yeah.
Um,
But is there any like story that pops out most to you, like 2020 to 2022 before
not
we got
really.
engaged?
I mean, like you said, that was more of our kind of us becoming serious.
Yeah.
And then in 2023 is when
that's where we we
Okay.
got engaged at the end of or the December 10th, 2022. So that was a big day for us, specifically. So between 2020 and that date, I wouldn't say like much happened. Just normal, dating stuff, hanging out, going to. We were actually able to go to like places like Durham, which was like really fun for us, or
Charlotte.
like we went to Raleigh and things like that. Like
Yeah.
what we found fun because weren't allowed to do a lot of things. Looking back, and I'm thankful for that. Like we got to go to like certain places together that we'd never been to together, and do certain things that we never got to do together. And still today, as a married couple, like we're doing fun stuff together we've never done together, trying new
Yeah.
things. So everything comes back to December 10th, 2022. So I got the ring back in August of 2022, and Lizzie had no idea. Like we went ring shopping,
No idea.
and I work at the Tanger, so we went ring shopping at Tanger at the Jared. And the very next day after Lizzie saw a ring there at Jared, she was like, "This, I really really like this one." One thing about Lizzie is she's very indecisive, but like with this ring, she was very determined to get this.
Yeah.
And I literally went the next day and bought it. I know the manager over there, and we got a deal working, and I'm very thankful for that. And I was able to get a good deal on it, and I got the wedding band, or what's it called?
It was more, yeah, it was.
Is that what it's called? Wedding,
the engagement
ring,
no,
yeah. Engagement ring, wedding ring,
band,
and then I got the insurance with it, whatever.
Yeah,
and I got a good deal for all that. So from August to December, Lizzie had no idea. Every time she asked about the ring, I would be like, "Well, I haven't got to getting it yet." I would, just kind of like push it aside because like I didn't want her to like guess things about it or whatever. But she had a lot of questions during that time, and it was really hard for me to like keep it in because I wanted to tell her, because I tell her everything.
Do you remember I sent you a picture? I sent him a picture of the ring. So I tried on the ring when we went to Jared.
Oh my goodness, I forgot about that. Yes.
Yeah, so I tried on the ring when we went to Jared. And I had a picture of it on my phone.
She sent it to me
every single day.
There was one time she sent it to me like 8 times in like 10 minutes.
May I remind you, this was an outlet. This was a Jaredville outlet. So, and when I picked the ring, I love the ring. I was like, oh, this is on sale. And I didn't know that, until after I fell in love with it. So it wasn't like this was like fully stocked. So I was like, Noah, you like, and by this, okay, he already had the ring. I didn't know this. I was like, Noah, you have to get this or it's going to be gone. And I'm never going to fall in love with a ring like this ever again.
Right.
So that's why I would send him like 5 to 10 pictures of this ring a day. It was insane.
So the way I planned it out, the proposal, our best friends Lacey and Aaron, they were definitely there for us for sure. I planned out with Aaron and Lacey that we would go on a hike on Okanichi Mountain in Hillsboro. We actually visited there before, and that's why I thought it was going to be a really good place for the proposal. So we went and got hibachi before at Tokyo Express, one of our favorite places in Hillsboro. We got there before. It was cold. It was December, so I had on a shirt, a hoodie, and a coat. And I had the ring in my hoodie pocket, but I had a coat over it so Lizzie wouldn't be able to tell. So we ate lunch. I could probably barely eat because I was nervous, but like Lizzie didn't even know I was nervous because she didn't think anything of it. Like, did you have like an idea of it?
So I
Like,
will
were you
say
suspicious?
what Noah did really well is that okay, so I knew that he was going to propose to me from like August of 2022, maybe until like May of 2023. So
Yeah,
we
that
were
I
going
sidetracked her because I
yes.
said I would probably propose to her of May of 2023, and
Yes.
then we would get married the
Well,
following year.
I thought that he was going to propose at Disney because we were going to Disney with his family in March of 2020
Three or yeah, March of 2023. Yeah, or
2023.
something along those
So I was
lines.
like, oh my goodness, like Disney would be perfect,
Yeah.
all the things. So, I mean, of course, that thought was kind of in the back of my head, but I was like, well, he's just going to wait till Disney. So that's what kind of threw me off.
Yeah, so we start hiking up this mountain. Out what is it like a mile and a half maybe? For the certain one that we took, it's like a mile and a half, and Lizzie starts like putting her arm around me and stuff, and I'm like, I kind of act like I'm mad at her
He's not
because
being very
yeah, I'm not
nice.
being. Thank you, Lizzie. I'm not being very nice because like I didn't want her like accidentally to like hit my belly where the ring was, and like her be like, what is this? And it would be like the ring box. So I was kind of being a little suspicious, but I don't think Lizzie caught on. She just probably thought I was being mean because I'm not like she would attest. I'm not really mean. I'm very a kind-hearted person. I think you would say the same. So that was probably abnormal to her.
I
So
was like, what is going on with
so
him?
when I'm that way towards her, she kind of just avoids me. So
Yeah.
that was a really strategic plan for me, and she pretty much avoided me the rest of the hike. Once we got to a certain point, she kept avoiding me, so that's kind of what I was asking for, and it worked. So we got to the top of the mountain, and I forgot to mention, my family, everyone was able to go except I think my brother and his wife. But they thankfully this mountain had a entrance. We went on the left side. There's also an entrance from the right side. It's
That's
more
like
it's more of an
only,
exit.
it's only probably a quarter of a mile.
Yeah. So people like my mom and like my dad, were able to. It wasn't even that steep, so they could just go right up it.
Yeah.
And they were able to like Lizzie's family, my family were able to be there. Most of everybody was, and they got to sneak in from the back way, and we came in from the normal way. And kind of I also hired Hayden, who is a very close friend of ours. She is a photographer. She also
Photographed.
photographed our wedding.
Yeah.
Sorry, Hayden. But I had her there to take our pictures because I know Lizzie will want that moment commemorated in like a really good way. So we get to the top of the mountain. I'm so nervous, and Aaron and Lacey, what I told them to do, I don't know if I came up with it or they did, but their idea or our idea was to like get Lizzie to take their pictures, and the way the mountain is, like where
It's an overlook.
it's an overlook mountain. So Lizzie's taking their pictures. They're right up against the fence that keeps you from falling off, and I'm behind Lizzie. So what I do is I believe I took off my coat right like a bench beside Lizzie where she was taking pictures, and I stood behind Lizzie. Um, excuse me. And remember, Lizzie's like irritated at me because I haven't really been like I've been being mean. Excuse me. I've been being mean and kind of trying to get her to avoid me. So I took off my coat, I remember, and I am standing behind Lizzie. I took a quick peek, and thankfully my family timed it out perfectly because I was texting them on the hike. They planned out perfectly. They started to walk up, and my mom has a video of the whole thing. And they start to walk up, and I hear them behind me, so I just take a little peek back, and I get down on one knee. Now, the funny thing is, Lizzie is still irritated at me, so she is taking Lacey and Aaron's pictures. And
But I mean, I'm like in the moment. I'm not necessarily like we're having a whole photo shoot. I'm trying to
Yeah.
get all the angles. I'm not like I wasn't doing that to purposely like avoid Noah.
No.
I was just like in the moment.
She was just
I was
like,
having a
when
good old
she's like
time.
invested in something, she's invested into it.
Yeah.
So I think I counted from watching the video, I was on my knee for 43 seconds up until Lizzie finally turned
I
around
turned around and saw Noah.
because Lacey started pointing her camera at Lizzie and had like the POV behind, that, I was proposing on one knee. And Lizzie eventually, 43 seconds after I got down on one knee, she turned around, and that's where I was on my knee, and that's where I proposed to Lizzie, asked her to marry me. She thankfully said yes, and from there, wedding planning.
Probably need
Now,
to wrap up. It's probably wrap up.
I mean,
But we can explain the wedding planning
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
I mean, I can check it real back. We're at 46. I mean,
It's not bad.
for the next episodes, we'll try to like keep it around that
Yeah.
or less.
This
But this is a long story.
This is a lot.
That's why.
Yeah.
And we had to introduce everything. So,
Very yeah.
so wedding planning, we'll do a whole episode on that because that's a whole ordeal of itself.
Mhm.
But long story short, we had our wedding at a local Methodist church that some of Lizzie's family members grew up in. And
it's a very pretty church, like a huge steeple. It has a balcony. It holds a good amount of people. So that was kind of why we wanted to do it there.
That's where it was, and then the reception was at our church now.
They have like
and it was Lizzie is going to try to call it a what are you going to call it?
A building.
A building, but it's honestly our gymnasium. Now you may think that's janky, but
we got that thing looking
we
right.
got it right, and it
was free.
It was free. Yeah, you can't beat free, even if it's
Yeah.
you can make something that's tacky not tacky, and that's we had a really good squad of my mom and your mom helped and
Dad.
you and Brian and a lot of people helped out to make sure it looked good. But
like we had when we went into the wedding planning, we set priorities. So to be honest, my priorities were not on the venue.
Yep.
My priorities were on good food and pictures.
Yep.
Because when I go to a wedding, I'm like, oh wow, that food is really good. Or
Yep.
I want the event to be remembered with good pictures. So those were our priorities. So of course, we had everything decorated nicely. But we prioritized the food for sure.
So I would say from December 10th to October 7th,
grinded.
There was a lot going on as we were both still in school. Actually, we originally we had a plan to get married. Was it
May
of 2024?
Yeah, so like a month ago.
A month ago. Yeah, so that was our original plan. Second plan was July 1st, 2023.
Now
which
that would
was
only
way too close.
That would only give us.
But that was our anniversary. That was the thing.
6 months. Yeah,
that's why we wanted to do it that day because it was
Yeah.
it was our 7-year anniversary, and that would have been like perfect.
It fell on a Saturday, and we were like, "Oh my gosh, that would be perfect." But it was just like doing it 6 months later is just like it. No, it might have been less than 6 months. It was crazy. So
Yeah,
we decided.
So
October.
we were at UNCG one day, and like we were like, okay, Lizzie, this is our budget. This is our blank. This is our blank, and we were like, if we don't want to do it in July, we don't want to do it in May. What is our other option?
Backstory real quick before Noah explains this. We rented out of a room at a UNCG library, and this room had a whiteboard, and we were drawing and scrambling away trying to figure out dates here, like writing out budgets, plans, dates. We were
cooking.
We were going at it. Yeah,
we were definitely cooking. But the third idea was my idea, and I was like, well, why don't we do it during our fall break? And with
Genius.
that date, like I was like, well, if you think about it, it's in between these two dates, gives us enough time to plan, but also um, we have a break. You know, we can do that weekend, and then the week after we go on our honeymoon, and then go back to school that Wednesday, I believe. So October 7th was when our fall break. That was the Saturday before our fall break, and it ended up being absolutely perfect. Um, so we'll go into like our whole wedding and stuff later, but kind of between December and October, we grinded. Lizzie, I would say, did 90% of the work.
No, but Noah,
I did what I could. Lizzie's just
he was
an
my
organizer.
right. He was my right hand man because, as Noah said earlier, I can be indecisive. So like I have this like okay, I can create an opinion and a decision, but I need someone to finalize that and like kind of check in like, okay, yeah, Lizzie, that's a great idea. So me and Noah, honestly, I kind of miss it a little bit because me and Noah, like we weren't working full time then. So we would like go to different coffee shops and try new coffee shops and just like wedding plan and create a registry. So Noah, like it was you did not like he did so much. Like he was my right hand man.
Don't get me wrong, like wedding planning was fun.
It was,
but I would never want to do it again.
No,
like
no,
definitely like not gonna divorce you because I love you. But like it was really fun in the moment. But looking back now, like we went through a lot of stress that really wasn't necessary. But
you have to.
But you also don't have any experience getting married,
right?
So like I said, from December to October, we grinded. We had to come up with pretty much everything for this entire wedding.
Because it wasn't a venue.
Right.
So.
And we'll go into a wedding episode another day. But long story short, we're wrapping up. So we got married on October 7th. Our wedding was at 4 p.m. On a Saturday. And, we had our wedding. Everything, honestly, I wouldn't say it went perfect, but everything was 99%. It went so well.
From our perspective, like, it went well.
We've been to a lot of weddings, and like unfortunately, like just stuff happens at weddings, and
this out of anyone's control.
Yeah, the Lord really blessed us that day, and like it really turned out like exactly how we planned it and mapped it out like almost perfectly, and like I'm so grateful for that. But our wedding was at the church, and then we got our pictures taken, and what is it called?
What are you talking about?
At the church, at the other church. Our
the building?
Reception. I can't think. Sorry, we've been talking for a while. But our reception, we traveled there. We'll get into like the car story another day.
Like 10 minutes away.
Yeah. We'll get into the car story another day. Yeah. The reception, it went very well. What was different about us, we didn't have like a dance floor. So instead of that, we played games. Which we'll go into.
Dancing people.
Definitely not dancing people. But since October 7th, we got married. We went on a short little honeymoon to Charleston, South Carolina, and we're definitely going to go back.
That was awesome.
Again, because it was a lot of fun. And since October, we've been married for, what is it?
Okay, I want to add in something you didn't
November,
add.
December, January, March.
So we went on a short honeymoon February. Because it was like we were still. We've been married 8 months. 8 months. Yeah, sorry. We were still in school. But we postponed our real honeymoon until 2 months later.
Yeah, we had a very short honeymoon since that was our fall break. We didn't have a lot of time, so we went to Charleston, and then December we went to our first cruise together, which we'll talk about another time. But that was a great.
We're forever cruise people.
We're cruise people, and we'll get into that later too. We have a lot of episodes planned. But since our cruise, right after our cruise, we got honey.
The day we got back,
December 16th. I want to say
after
December 18th. Yeah. Sorry, December 18th was when we got honey, and she's just been a joy in our lives. Lizzie definitely turned me to a cat person over the past few years. And I did have an allergy to cats, but I think eventually my cat allergy to honey specifically has gone away. So since we got honey, since from then to now in June, not really much. Lizzie got a new internship. Um, anything else big really happened?
I mean, not really. We're about to, well, in a month, maybe like 2 months, we're going to jump into our last semester of college.
Yep. So we went through January to May of our second and last semester of college. First semester as full semester as a married couple.
And we're both like, we're working full time now.
Yep.
So just like the transition from that.
Yeah.
Um,
But I mean, that's
Yeah.
pretty much our story. And now it's June. It might be July when this comes out, but now it's June. We are about to jump into our final semester of college. Praise the Lord. And then from there, I think our lives are going to change even more when it comes
the
to
better.
our careers.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think we've covered most of our story. There were a lot of aspects of our story I think we will cover
We'll
on
go in depth
other
for sure.
on other podcast episodes for sure. But this was our introduction and our story. This is the Years in the Making podcast. Years in the Making pod. We're still going over like the kinks of the name and everything. But expect this on YouTube and Spotify and Apple Music. That's where we're going to try to get all our podcasts. And like I said, I'll try to get in contact with Noah Hooper and figure some things out with the actual like audio part of things. But we really appreciate you guys for listening.
So this is kind of long.
Yeah, it's definitely long. There's a lot to talk about, but we'll as we go on, we'll make stuff shorter, make stuff longer based on whatever. But we definitely have a lot of other episodes in mind. There's a lot, honestly, on my phone, a lot of ideas, a lot of special guests we would love to have.
It's going to be a good time, for sure.
But we want to be really consistent with this. I can't guarantee we're going to be very consistent throughout our school year, but we're definitely going to try our best and do what we can for you guys, because, there's a lot that you guys don't know about us, and a lot of stories to tell, a lot of advice to give. And, God has definitely blessed us a lot and gave us a lot, and brought us this far, and why not tell others about what God's done in our life. So Lizzie, you got anything else for the people?
I don't think so. We're gonna have a good time around here,
and there's definitely stuff we probably forgot in this episode, but that we'll get to, like we've said, in future episodes.
Absolutely.
But we also haven't figured out a signing off thing, so I guess we'll say bye for the time being.
Bye,
this
guys.
has been Lizzie and Noah, the Years in the Making podcast, episode 1.